Now we're going to discuss looking at the GI tract as part of our search pattern. It's important to realize that we don't really catch most of the GI tract on the CT scan of the chest. However, we do catch some of it, and it can be very easy to overlook this part of the search pattern just because it's not really a major focus of what we're looking at. But especially when it comes to upper GI tract, it's important to realize that we do get a pretty good look at the esophagus, and that's kind of where we start. First things first, though, we have our axial scans on the left. We use the abdominal window. We have our coronals on the right just to kind of co-localize. We're using for our axials medium slice thickness 2.5 millimeters. And what I like to do is just, behind the trachea, we're going to see the esophagus, and we can see it right here. So what we will do is just trace the esophagus down. And here we see a little bit of air within the esophagus, so we can just follow this all the way down as it goes through the diaphragm into the stomach. This is the area where you will see things like hiatal hernias. So I think it can be helpful to just kind of corroborate with the coronals here, make sure there's not a hiatal hernia or something else going on there. And then you can follow things down to the stomach. And then depending on how low you go, you may catch, some or maybe not that much of the upper GI tract past the stomach. So here, maybe we have a little bit of duo here, but we kind of lose it after that point because it doesn't scan low enough. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is even though we can't necessarily trace the whole GI tract, at this point, it can be a good opportunity to scan through the upper abdomen and just see if there's other pathology that you're interested in or that kind of grabs you. You may just see, here's some scattered small bowel. This looks like large bowel. You just want to make sure that there's not anything crazy going on. Maybe you could catch a diverticulitis or something else, some other bowel pathology that's important to note, and it may be that you only see it on your CT scan of the chest. So it's worth taking a moment to, we looked at the solid organs on one of the prior videos, but now let's just take a look at the GI tract and make sure that there's no abnormal pathology. We can look at the mesentery, make sure there's no significant soft tissue stranding. You can also look for things like free air, pneumatosis in the bowel wall. All of this is going to kind of depend upon the clinical context, but it's important to just dedicate part of your search pattern, especially if there's not a separate abdomen that someone else is reading, to making sure that the bowels that you do see are normal, they're okay, and there's nothing hiding there.